Larry Bird was one of the biggest trash talkers in basketball. And a lot of people said, really? You know, they thought it was Reggie or Charles.
Bird used to tell me, look here, man, you supposed to be a great defender, right? And I'm going to make sure I tell you where I'm going to shoot the ball at.
And he said, I'm going to get it right here. I'm going to shoot it right in your face.
And I'm looking at this guy like, he's nuts.
I'm going to go shoot this motherfucking jumper in your face right there in that cone. And it's going to be your Christmas present. I'm going to wrap it up and bust your head open.
And that's exactly what he did.
What would you say is the toughest era in basketball? Well, this. And the one who dominated and defined this era is none other than the Boston legend himself, the one who changed the world of basketball forever, Larry Bird.
Feeds it into Bird, Larry through the lane, hits it, and he's...
Do not let his appearance fool you, because he's one of the most cunning NBA players of all time. His trash talk was elite, and he's not backing down to anybody.
Bird in the corner, double fake, jumper, score!
Here are the times Larry Bird showed the entire league who's the boss. And spoilers, we're gonna see a lot of NBA legends get cooked.
Bird, he's got a shot, get it, and he's got it, the 3-point field goal!
Ever since he was a kid growing up in the small town of French Lick, Indiana, Larry Bird was massively underestimated. The dude cannot jump, was not insanely quick, and most of all, he looked like just your regular countryside folk. And when he played for Indiana State University, where he had a terrific college career, even the legendary college coach Nolan Richardson told a story about how he first heard the name Larry Bird.
I never forget driving and I'm listening to a game. It's New Mexico State playing Indiana State. And we're big rivalries, so I'm hoping that Indiana State will beat New Mexico State. And I'm listening to the radio and I have no clue of the players on either team. All of a sudden, this name keeps coming. Bird. He goes to the right. Bird. He makes the shot. Bird. I said, who is Bird? And Bird this and Bird. Oh, did you see the pass that Bird made? I can't see it, but I'm just trying to imagine it. And when the time I got to the end, I said, damn, that brother can play.
Well, that wasn't the last time he's going to hear Bird's name. After averaging a godly 30 points and 13 rebounds in his college career, Bird set his sights on the 1978 NBA draft. Bird was the clear most talented player in that draft, but he wanted to play his final year in Indiana before playing in the NBA. Many scouts did not want to wait for a year, but one GM gambled, Red Auerbach and the Boston Celtics. When he joined the team in 1979, he was heavily doubted. He was a white player in a predominantly black league. He was being stereotyped as soft and not tough enough. And his teammate, Cedric Maxwell, tried to test the white rookie.
I was averaging about 20 and 10 when Bird got here. I'm thinking he's coming to this building. I'm looking at him, but we have the first practice. I'm thinking like, this ought to be a piece of cake. Yeah. Guy don't look fast, don't look good. Yeah. I'm about to do something to him. Boy, I'm telling you what, it changed my opinion about racism in this world. Because I remember he scored the first basket, jet on me. I scored on him, second basket. But as I proceeded, he started going further and further and further away. And by the end of the practice, it finished. The first black person I got to, I said, you know what? That white guy can play down there.
And from then on, Larry's legend began. But there are a lot of superstars who tried to challenge Larry, and one of those is Dominique Wilkins. These two were polar opposites. Larry was graceful, and Dominique was this powerful high flyer that shocked people. In their first meeting, however, Dominique told a story about how he first met Larry on the court.
That was the first time Bird ever talked trash to me. It was my rookie season, my first game I ever played against him. The only thing he said to me, I'm guarding him, my first play, he's coming down the court, and I'm guarding him. He looks at me, he said, I don't know why they have you guarding me, Holmes. And he shoots the three. I wasn't upset he made the three. I said, but this son of a gun just called me Holmes.
In the 1988 playoffs, however, these two would cross paths once again in Game 7 of the Eastern semifinals. After winning Game 6, Larry Bird guaranteed a Celtic win in Game 7. At the Boston Garden, Bird struggled, logging in just 12 points in 3 quarters. Well, not until they wake up the sleeping beast.
Bird at the end of that game made a bold prediction to the press, said, Atlanta blew their opportunity. I'm guaranteeing a win in Boston. And I remember we in Boston, we coming out of the locker room and I stopped and I said to my teammates, I said, we're going to win this bleep game. If you ain't ready to fight, you ain't ready to go to war, don't come out. I said, whoever guarding me tonight going to have a long night. Unfortunately, Larry Bird was telling his teammates the same thing down the other end, but it's set up for one of the greatest shootouts in the history of a 7th game. I was taking the ball out of bounds. He said, we both deserve to win this game, but unfortunately, one of us got to go home. That's the big respect I think you can get from any great player, especially under those circumstances. You're fighting to win Game 7.
You just don't disrespect Larry Legend like that. Talk about disrespect. Charles Barkley once told Larry Bird in a podcast how he felt disrespected by Bark and his team.
Oh my God, Bird talked trash to everybody. I remember him, he was cursing under his breath. And I asked him, I said, Larry, what's going on with you? He says, you guys are being disrespectful to me. What are you talking about? He says, you guys are putting a white guy on me. That's disrespectful. I can't remember who it was. I just started laughing. I had no comeback when he says, it's disrespectful when y'all put a white guy on me.
Larry Bird has been one of the nastiest trash talkers of all time. He used trash talks to have a psychological advantage against his opponents. And former NBA All-Star player Terrell Brandon knows how Bird tortures players mentally.
Bird is a psychologically assassin.
In what way though, man? You say that, how?
91-92 season, he says, who's guarding me? I says, Craig Elo. He says, why you got that white boy on me? He said, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna get in the corner. Dennis Johnson gonna pass it to me and I'm gonna hit. He hit the shot, he walked off and said, Legend.
Bird was just elite, and the best part was that he backed up his trash talk every time. You know when you're a good trash talker when you are feared by one of the greatest trash talkers of all time, the Glove, Gary Payton. He even laid the truth and said that Larry Bird was a greater trash talker than him. Imagine Gary Payton, a vicious trash talker, giving Larry Bird his props.
Who talked the most? I think Larry Bird and Reggie Miller was the best talker. Larry Bird would tell you, I'm gonna take you over to this corner, I'm gonna dribble 2 times, I'm gonna hit your in the face, and it bet not touch the rim. Then he said, if it do, I'm gonna come right back and do it again until it touches it. That's how Larry Bird used to get at. And he bagged it up because he was so cold.
That's
you know
crazy.
what I'm saying? So people, ask people about him. Motherfucker used to tell you, boy, you can't do shit with me. I'm too good for this.
Wow.
I'm gonna give you a Christmas present. This jumper in your face.
And this one legend surely knew how special Bird was. James Worthy. The Lakers and the Celtics held their fair share of battles in the 80s, and this was all James Worthy had to say about Larry Legend.
You know the play is coming, but he would tell you what's coming. Mikhail's going to set a pick for Robert, but Robert, that's only to free him up to come and set a pick for me. He says, if you trail, I'm going to trail into the lane and shoot a little floater. And he said, if you pop, he said, if you try to get over the top, he said, I'm going to pop to that corner and bust a jumper on your face. The ball comes in, DJ takes a couple dribbles. I get out there, but he pops to the corner and I'm running. He kind of waiting, Waiting.
He was The Lakers and the Celtics really did rule the 80s, but there's one other team that fought against Boston before claiming their glory. The Bad Boys Detroit Pistons. And one of their core players, John Sally, shared his thoughts on what it was like to go up against the one and only Larry Bird.
I'm going to give you Larry Bird in his prime or LeBron in his prime.
Larry Bird. He was constantly talking. Like it was a trip that even I looked at the video when Dennis Rodman's leg gets caught in his neck and Bill Lambert, he goes down and he's punching Bill. The first person I went to grab was Larry. And then we get out the way and I mind my business. But Larry was, he would talk and he would say, Sal, you better ask for a double team, bro. You know, I was like, when are you going to keep when are you going to let these people know you're a black guy from Indiana? When are you going to do that?
There's no doubt that Larry Bird is one of the coldest players of all time. But did you know that he was such a menace that even the opposing team cheered for him and got fined? You heard that right. And the new Milwaukee Bucks head coach and then Atlanta Hawks player, Doc Rivers, experienced all of it firsthand.
You guys got Antoine Carr and Cliff Levingston got fined by Fratello, I think.
And Eddie Johnson for celebrating.
Good.
It was the greatest film session ever. Mike rewound the celebration 20 times. He just kept, not the shot, he just kept rewinding it. Eddie Johnson falls off the bench in laughter. Antoine Carr and Cliff gives each other a high five. And our film session was 20 minutes of that.
Larry Bird was out there calling his own shots, mentally derailing his opponents. Legend. Well, that's not the craziest thing Larry Bird has done to show the entire league who the boss really was. In the 1984 NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers were closing in on a pivotal Game 5 of the series.
Finds an open Bird, takes Rambis, 1 second, it's time.
In halftime, unusual and alarming news was relayed by then Boston Celtic head coach K.C. Jones to Larry Bird.
I remember in LA in the Game 5 of the championship series, we was out there. We come out to warm up before we started the third quarter, and K.C. come walking out, and he called me over. He said, Larry, he said, I hate to tell you this. He said, it's been a death threat on your life. I said, what? So you're going to make a decision whether you want to finish the game or go back and sit in the locker room and wait till we get done or leave the arena. That's why I'm going to play. I go right through the layup line on the other side, and I look over, and here's come K.C., point man. I walk over to K.C., I said, now what? He goes, well, the horn's getting ready to blow here, Larry. He says, whatever you do, don't come to the huddle. He said, could you please stand out here? Could you please stand out here at center court? He said, you never know, the guy might be a bad shot. So just when the horn blows, I walk over to K.C., he's drawing on a play. I put my arm around him. He looks up, puts his head down, squats down a little bit so the guys are surrounding him. He goes, thanks a lot.
Larry continued to play the game and dropped a monstrous 34 points and 17 rebounds to propel the Celtics to win Game 5, 121-103, and eventually win the series in 7 games. You will never see a Warrior as tough as Larry Bird ever again. A fearless competitor who showed the league who the real boss was. Now, it's your time to share your thoughts. Where do you rank Larry Bird among the greatest of all time? Is he the greatest Celtic of all time? Leave your comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching.